Outside the door, Nora listened as the digital lock repeated its input error voice line, her lips curling up in a mocking smile. The password had been changed and no one had even bothered to tell her. She lowered her eyes emotionlessly, raised her cell phone and tapped it a few times. Then she pasted it on the digital lock. A few seconds later, the door opened with a click. There was a lively atmosphere in the living room. Seeing the gathered crowd, Nora realized she had just walked into a birthday party for her younger half-sister, Angela Smith. No one had noticed her come in, so Nora found a sofa in the corner and sat down intending to rest for a while. But soon she heard a low cry drift in from the deck outside. A few girls had surrounded another girl and were pushing her around. Angela, who was wearing a blue dress, twirled a glass of red wine in her fingers and sneered as she looked down at the girl who was being pushed to the ground. It was Nora's cousin, Lisa Black. Angela had never liked Lisa. She had always been on good terms with Nora, whom Angela despised. As Lisa stood there, one of the girls deplorably hurled, "Did you just say she actually has a nice face? There must be something wrong with your eyes. That ugly freak looks like a pig. Angela's toes are prettier than that fatty. Surely you can see how gross she is." Angela eventually seemed to decide to intervene. She took out a photo of Nora taken at a time when her weight had been especially high and played with it in her hands. "Hey, you're all being too nasty. Be nice to Lisa." Angela smiled. "Let's all just calm down and settle this with a fun little bet." Lisa's voice was weak in her throat as she said, "What kind of bet?" Angela pointed at the photo. "If you can prove that she would really be good-looking if she lost some of that weight, I'll eat this photo. If you can't do it, then you'll eat it. How does that sound? That's pretty fair, right?" The other girls laughed gleefully. "Yeah, right. She'll never lose all that weight. What will you do? What's she going to do? Get liposuction to prove she might be pretty under all of those rolls? You have absolutely no way of proving she'll look good after she slims down, so eat the photo. Eat the photo." The circle of girls clapped and squealed. Angela held up the photo to Lisa's face with a mocking smile. "Are you going to eat it all yourself, or do you want us to help you with it?" Angela's eyes gleamed viciously. The party had been going so well. Everyone had been congratulating her and joking about her sister Nora. Why did Lisa have to stick her neck out and try and speak up in Nora's defense? It was too ridiculous. Angela was about to pass the photo to Lisa so she could watch her try to swallow it whole. But suddenly, a fair, slender arm reached over and plucked the photo out of her hands. It was Nora. Without a single glance at any of the girls, she balled up the photo in one fist and grabbed Angela's hair in the other. When Angela opened her mouth to cry out in pain, Nora stuffed the photo into her mouth. Her actions were as slick and smooth as butter. It was only when she tasted the bitter paper in her mouth that Angela finally pulled away. She was about to spit it out when she heard the woman say, in a low and indifferent voice, "A bet's a bet, Angela. Swallow." Angela froze. She looked at Nora as if she were a ghost. Angela didn't recognize Nora at all. All she saw was a woman wearing a simple white shirt with jeans that accentuated her long legs and slender waist. Her hair was tied in a low ponytail, with a few strands escaping to wisp around her neck. Her skin was as smooth as silk, fair and clean. She was an exceptionally beautiful girl, nothing like the Nora in Angela's memory. But still, she thought, that voice is familiar. Can it be? The other partygoers had finally noticed the scuffle and gathered round. A boy frowned. "Lady, who are you? Angela is Mr. Gray's fiancée. You better not piss off the Grays." Nora didn't reply, but she released her hold on Angela and walked up to Lisa and said with a smile, "Thank you for standing up for me." Lisa bit her lip and asked uncertainly, "Is it really you, Nora?" "Yeah, it's me." Everyone was stunned. They stared at her incredulously. A voice piped up from the back of the crowd. "Wow, she actually looks really good now." Everyone looked at Angela again. She was widely considered to be pretty, even genuinely beautiful. She had always been proud of her looks, but standing next to Nora, Angela looked dull and plain in comparison. Angela could sense the judgment of the crowd. She felt as if she had been slapped across the face. Her cheeks were burning hot with humiliation. It was her own fault. She had deliberately told Nora to come back and announce that she was no longer engaged to Anthony during the birthday party. Angela had wanted everyone to see the two women side by side and know how much more beautiful she was than Nora. It wasn't supposed to go like this. Nora was turning her into a joke. What happened? Nora's father, Henry Smith, strode into the room with his current wife. When he saw Nora, he was taken aback. He cried out, "Nora, is that you?" The shock on his face was clear. He too had never imagined his elder daughter could be so beautiful. The light in Angela's eyes flickered at the sight. Suddenly, she burst into tears and pulled the photo from her mouth. She wailed as loudly as she could for the crowd. "Nora, I'm sorry that Anthony is breaking off his engagement with you. I know you hate me for it. Take it out on me as much as you want." Her sobs snapped their father back to reality, and he reached out as if he were about to hit Nora himself. "Nora, Anthony is breaking off his engagement with you because of your bad choices, your cheating, the pregnancy. You ruined that relationship yourself. What does your sister have to do with it?" His words made Nora feel cold as ice. 5 years ago, her father's cruelty had broken her heart. She was about to defend herself when her stepmother, Wendy Simpson, suddenly came forward to restrain her father. "There are so many people watching, Henry. There are more important things to worry about right now." Nora blinked. More important things. Henry suppressed his anger and spat, "Come upstairs with me." They gathered in Henry's study. Henry, Wendy, and Angela all sat together as a family. Nora sat opposite them. She leaned against the sofa, her eyelids drooping. She knew the expression must make her look ridiculously angry, even hateful. But anyone who really knew her would understand that she was just tired. Henry went straight to the point. "Nora, the Greys have agreed to cancel your engagement. Your sister will marry Anthony instead. It's also your sister's birthday today. Why don't you give her the company that your mother left to you as a wedding and birthday gift?" Angela added eagerly, "Your pregnancy scandal embarrassed all of us. You nearly dragged the Greys down with you, and their reputation still hasn't completely recovered. You've got a lot of mistakes to make up for. You can start by giving me the company." Henry passed the contract that he had prepared in advance to Nora and said, "This is an ownership transfer agreement. Sign it." Nora's eyes went cold. It was obvious the Smiths had been the ones to resist cancelling the engagement because they wanted to use the marriage to climb up the social ladder. The Greys had also refused to cancel it for some reason, though Nora didn't know why. But now they were all trying to blame her for everything. Everything that the Smiths had came from Nora's mother originally. They had already claimed the house. Now they were trying to take the company. Nora felt her stomach coiling in disgust at their greed. She looked up from the paperwork and said, "No." Angela screeched like a cat that had been stepped on. "Nora, what do you mean by that?" Nora glanced outside. It was getting late. She wanted to get back to see Cherry and get some sleep. Not wanting to waste any more time, she said, "Angela, congratulations on your engagement, but you're not getting a wedding gift from me." Without another glance at her family, Nora stood up and walked out. Henry shouted after her, "Stop right there, Nora." But she ignored him. As she reached the front porch, Angela came running up to block her path. "Just tell me the truth, Nora. Are you going to try and take Anthony back? Is that why you're really here?" Nora shook her head. "Get out of my way." "Don't lie to me. I can see right through you. You're so shameless." Angela raised her arm, preparing to slap Nora across the face, but Nora caught her wrist before the blow could land. Angela couldn't pull free of Nora's grasp. Flustered and embarrassed, she cursed angrily. "Don't you dare think Anthony will take you back just because you're a little prettier now. He'll never marry someone like you. You ruined yourself with that little bastard child. Where is the little brat anyway? Did you finally abandon it like the father abandoned you?" Nora slapped Angela with all her strength. Her pupils were dark with fury. She looked like a madwoman, a demon crawling out of hell. "If I ever hear you say anything about my daughter again, I'm not holding back." With one last warning glare at her sister, Nora turned and left. Angela's cheek stung fiercely. Her eyes were wide with shock. She felt too scared to even cry. Neon lights flickered across the California night sky. Nora sat in the cab with her eyes closed. Lights passed across her face as the car rolled past the nightlife of California, flashing brighter and then dimming to a soft haze at random. Nora felt lonely in the glow. Angela's words about her child rang in her ears. Thinking about the whole situation depressed her all over again. It was still a mystery how she had become pregnant 5 years ago. She still had no idea who Cherry's father was. "We're here." The driver's voice interrupted Nora's thoughts. She had only just arrived and entered the hotel when a row of bodyguards rushed out in front of her and stopped her in her tracks. "Please step aside." There were other people scattered across the lobby who had also been stopped by the bodyguards. They murmured to each other in low voices. "What is Mr. Hunt going out for? It's so late." "Apparently the little Hunt boy wants to go out for chocolate mousse cake, so we all have to wait." Nora just wanted to get back to her suite and go to sleep. She felt a big yawn and stretch coming on. Just then, she spotted a tall, imposing figure striding out of the elevator with a young boy in his arms. The man kept his gaze straight as he walked forward. However, as he was about to walk past Nora, he came to a sudden halt. He looked at her piercingly and said in a deep voice, "Miss Smith?" Nora froze mid-yawn. Nora stared at Justin, her mouth hanging half open in astonishment. The man was very tall, standing at just a little over 6 feet tall. He was dressed in a black, bespoke suit that drew the eye to his long, straight legs. The lavish hotel lights spilled across his blank expression, highlighting the angles of his face. He radiated arrogance. However, the mole at the corner of his eye brought a charming touch of human beauty to his cool conduct. For all his haughtiness, his manner was restrained. The little boy he was holding also wore a suit. He had buried his head in the man's shoulder. A casual onlooker might have assumed he was just a shy child, but he had been taught to hide his face when he went out in public. The Hunt family feared the media might try to take photos of their youngest child and start trouble for him. But Nora was in no mood to wonder about the child in Justin's arms, or appreciate Justin's good looks. She had more important things to worry about. Had Justin Hunt found out that she was Athena? The alarming idea had just occurred to her when she noticed Justin's frown. He looked straight at her and said, "Stay away from my son. Also, you're not my type." His voice was deep and melodious, smooth and musical to the ear. It made people want to hear him speak a little more, at least until they were driven away by his chilly aura. Nora's eyelids had been drooping because of drowsiness, but now they widened big and round in confusion. Before she could recover from her surprise, he turned away and strode off. The other people in the hotel lobby looked at her all at once, and then took a step back as if she was contagious. Hushed whispers broke out amongst the crowd. "That was a bad move. I've heard many people have tried to get close to Mr. Hunt through his son, but he hates that more than anything. The last woman who tried to cozy up to the Hunt's youngest ended up with some old man in the end. I don't know what the woman did, but clearly she screwed up." It was only when she overheard their comments that Nora finally understood why Mr. Hunt had spoken to her so rudely. She shook her head in disbelief at his arrogant assumption. Is that man out of his mind? Once Justin had left, his bodyguards also withdrew. After a few moments, the hotel lobby went back to normal. Inside the Hunt family's extra-long black Bentley, Justin's son Pete had a sullen look on his face, and he made a silent protest. Justin frowned. After his son's abnormal behavior earlier that night, he had checked the surveillance camera footage in the corridor. There, he saw that woman he had just encountered in the lobby had kissed and hugged his son. The problem was that for the very first time, Pete, who had always avoided others and disliked physical contact, hadn't resisted. Had that woman overcome his son's shyness with her beauty? He thought back to her sheer loveliness.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.